one game, win or lose, does not break a season, okay? But you got what it takes. Every day you keep grinding. Every day we keep getting better, okay? It was one game against a pretty darn good football team. Give them credit.
Hey, game ball. Joe Daves. Yeah. Joe and Daves, game ball. Giants on 3. 1, 2, 3. Giants. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to another edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. I'm Bob Papa. The Giants kicked off their 98th season in the National Football League with a thrilling win in Tennessee. We're going to talk about that throughout the course of the show. Carl Banks is going to go to the coach's tape and give you a little preview of the Carolina Panthers, plus a whole lot more. We'll be joined by Amani Toomer and Sean O'Hara. We got an action-packed show lined up for you, and it's with great pleasure I welcome in two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks and head coach Brian Daboll. And Carl, a lot of fun in Tennessee. More than just the barbecue.
Yeah, it was. It was the tale of two halves, wouldn't you say, Coach?
Absolutely.
You know, I'm looking at the first half, and I always remember what you say. You have to adjust your plan. And offensively, it seems like guys were a little bit out of sync in the first half, receivers getting on the same page. And it appeared to me like you were probing a little bit, just trying to see some things that you could hang your hat on moving forward in the game. And you could see some positive runs out of Saquon Barkley. And it seemed like in the second half, you wanted to run a little bit of the offense through him.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you're trying to get a feel for the game early on of what the defense is doing when you're an offensive play caller and give them some different looks or motions or formations. And there's certainly things we could have done better in terms of our alignment, getting set a little bit quicker. But again, the passing game was efficient in terms of amount of attempts and amount of completions, but we weren't getting much going in the passing game. And I thought Saquon ran good in the first half, and obviously he hit some big ones in the second half that have helped us, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
Coach, you told us at the beginning of preseason in one of our first TV production meetings about sometimes it's good to just get the dirty two. And there were a lot of dirty 2s and 3s in this football game that eventually you keep chipping away at it, and it leads to bigger plays.
Yeah, especially with a guy like Saquon, who's as explosive and strong of a runner as I've been around. The line did a good job. I thought the perimeter guys blocked well enough for him to get to the second level. And that's the running game. It's not always clean. Most of the time it's not in the National Football League. And you hit one, you hit another one, you have to be convicted with it, especially with the runner that we have. And, you know, thankfully it cracked a little bit.
Coach, on the defensive side of the football, and we know in a modern era of defense, it's hard just to shut any offense down. But it had to be a big plus to be able to neutralize King Henry the way that this defense did and to play well on third down, key third downs.
No question. I think that Wink and the defensive staff did a really good job with the planning of it. And then the players did a really good job of leading into the week of executing the things we needed to do. And the two main points were neutralize the running game and not give up any really explosive plays. By that I mean the 60, 70-yarders that lead to touchdowns, whether it's a missed tackle on Henry or they throw one of the deep overs and a receiver breaks free and runs for another 40 yards. So defense played well. Two big third short yard stands on the sweep and then on the Wildcat where they fumbled, but overall good team win.
What was it like at halftime? Because you're not really getting anything going. You're shut out. Defense, though, stabilized the game in the fact that you gave up the one score to Hilliard, but you held them to a couple field goals and kept the score within reach. Was it a positive feeling in there that, hey, this thing is still there for us?
Yeah, I think your job as a coach is to be composed for the players and tell them what we need to do to fix whatever we need to fix. There were certainly some good things that showed up in the first half, and I said, let's not worry about the scoreboard. Let's just focus on our job as a coaching staff and as players and give them a plan going forward of what we want to do to start the second half, which really kind of lead us into where we were in the fourth quarter with 3 and outs, and then we go down and score. We hit the one to Shep. Barkley has a long run earlier than that, so credit to the coaches and the players of just keeping composure and grinding away at what we needed to grind away at.
Coach, talk a little bit about special teams. Your punter had some really big punts, but obviously when you put it down the middle, long, high, and it's a lot of hang time, that returner has a lot to, he can do a lot of things, and your gunners have to at some point commit.
Yeah.
Right? So that's some learning that happens there, but you wouldn't take away the distance or the hang time if you can get a little direction there.
Yeah, if we can, I think Jamie's done a really good job for us. The one that was the big return, we'd like to put it in a little bit of a different direction in terms of our coverage unit. But again, if that happens, we got to just take better angles to the ball. But, he's got a good leg. I thought he punted well throughout the night. That one got us a little bit, but I thought he came back with a good performance.
Obviously, as the head coach of a football team, it's a 24-hour kind of deal. Did you get a chance to celebrate it at all, or bask in it, or is it just like we're on to the next?
Yeah, 24-hour rule. After the game, my family was there. My wife and 5 out of the 6 kids were there. A bunch of friends that I'm close with flew down from Buffalo, and it was just good to see them. Hang out a little bit after the game before we got on the buses, and then you're right onto the tape. And as a coach, you're always trying to fix the things that weren't right, and there was plenty of them for a first game, but it's a lot easier to correct it with the players when you get a win.
You told us last week when we were talking with you on a podcast about when I asked you about dinner guests, and you mentioned your 2 grandparents who raised you. That moment after the game, how much did that hit your heart?
Yeah, it was weighing on me a little bit. As I said before, my grandfather had passed the year before when I was flying down to Tennessee when I was on the airplane. So then we landed. We lost a tough game. When we beat, I think it was Houston, Coach McDermott gave me a game ball for my grandmother who passed, so I never got that game ball for my grandfather. And X and Barkley, those guys gave us a game ball after the game. So I went home, whatever it was, 2 in the morning, and I took that ball and put it right next to the one that they gave me for her. So pretty cool.
Coach, this game is played with emotion. It's a game of emotion. Were you proud of the level of emotion that these players took into this game, start to finish? They never seemed like they got discouraged about anything.
Yeah, they never blinked, and that's a credit to those guys. And that's what we're trying to build here is, play for 60 minutes, focus on your job, take one play at a time, and then move on to the next play, good or bad, and stick together. There's going to be a lot of things that Carl, happen in a football game, and it's easy to point fingers and blame, but I'd rather have a bunch of thumb pointers than finger pointers, and we got a lot of good guys in the locker room.
All right, we're just getting started here on the program. When we come back on the show, Carl and Coach are going to head into the auditorium and get into a little X's and O's about the Giants' win against the Tennessee Titans. All that and much more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop.
We're going to be aggressive. That's what we want to do. That's the mindset I want the players to have. And if it didn't work, I could live with it. I thought that was the right decision. You're an inch away or whatever it was. I trust Saquon. I grabbed a couple of the defensive players that have busted their tails out there, along with some of the offensive guys that weren't out there. And I said, hey, we got the ball wherever it was. I said, we scored. I'm going for 2. You guys good with that? And they said, F yeah.
We're back here at the Coach Daboll Show, and it's time to get smarter, Coach. Let's go through some plays and talk about how they all work out.
Sure. So we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. This is in the third quarter here. It's a first down play, and we have a little bit of momentum going on this drive. So we line up Saquon outside, we bring him back, and we have a running play called. It's a called running play. And it's more of a downhill running play where, again, these line of scrimmage players, these 2 guys, center and the guard and the tackle, can get double teams on the defensive lineman. And, our motto is let's take care of the down players first and then work up to the second level. Down here, it's tougher to run the ball. You can see there's 11 guys all within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, so you got to decide who you want to turn free and who the running back has to miss. So we bring in Shep here for force or support to go ahead and block this safety here. and we'll turn this corner free. And then down here, Galladay will block the corner, and Richie will really mess around with these two guys and block the most dangerous. Sometimes we'll sell like it's a pass, and then count on our front guys to go ahead and get movement. As you can see, it's just a drop step by Saquon so he can get his shoulders square and downhill right away. And does a really good job. You know, we always talk about pressing the line of scrimmage to make the inside linebackers commit, and then take the double team and drive this guy off the ball until the guy you're doubling to commits either inside, in this case to the center, or over top to the guard. That's from the sideline view, and you can see the press that Saquon's doing. What I mean by press is running into the line of scrimmage to make these players come downhill, and he can get his read off of them.
Both double teams, every guy that comes off in balance.
Yep.
So it's not just plowing into a double team. It's a fit, and then hands are off, and then they see their target, so nobody's stumbling off. So now you created one-on-one blocks with great leverage, and then there's Saquon Barkley who can see it all and just makes the right cut, and he's home free.
Right, and the thing here is obviously it helps with Saquon coming up the field, but this double I think really works well together. As John comes off, Azudu, who's a rookie, gets his balance back and really does a good job of driving this defensive tackle back into the line of scrimmage, and then there's the cut for Saquon, which he knows he has a safety way outside here,
Sure.
and he's the only one he has to beat. And we talk about press the hole, slice the cut. He wants to try to stay as tight as to that double as he can so he can beat this guy to the end zone.
All right, let's go to the next one. What do you got?
Next one I think is a critical play in the game. We're a little under 7 minutes to go. It's a big 3rd and 1. They're kind of right around midfield, a little bit backed up. They only need, a few more yards to make it a 2-score game. So they're at their 41-yard line, and we got big personnel out there with 4 big bodies inside, and they come out in heavy personnel with some tight ends, only 1 receiver. So it looks to me like Tennessee is running some form of check with me. And as you look at our defense, if you cut it down right down the middle of the center and count the center, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys over here with the back. And if you do this, you got 1, 2, 3 guys over here. So we have 4 defenders on this side. We're not anticipating a weak side run in this look. We're really thinking quarterback sneak or probably some type of strong side run, whether it's a lead play, whether it's a power play. But I think, these guys do a really good job of sniffing this out. A little bit of a gadget type play where they hand it off to the skill player, and Nick does a great job of recognizing it along with Calitro there, 59, and Fox and Adoree. I mean, what a significant play in this game. Again, just under 7 minutes left. If they pick up this first down and they get a few more yards, maybe that's a 10-point game. But what a critical stop here for our defense.
Assignment football again.
No question.
As this ball gets outside, look at your corner. Adoree, he's turning everything in.
Yep.
He takes an angle to turn everything in back to his defense. So the pursuit angles are great, and there's nowhere for the runner to go here.
That's exactly right. It's good team defense. We're out. We're in. We got an extra player right here with Fox. And, again, Calitro does just a good job. You can see him see the exchange where Crowder, he's reading his keys. And this is always tough when you have some type of misdirection motion on these backers on the second level where you can't always see and it happens fast. I just thought a good instinctive play by Calitro and Nick and making a critical stop. It was a critical play in the game that forced them to punt and give our offense the football back to go ahead and drive down for the game-winning drive. I mean, without this, who knows what happens.
All right, and then no game is complete without a special teams play.
Yeah, the big thing here is we're sitting in the fourth quarter, and the score is 20-13. And what a great time for an explosive play in the kicking game. And really the focus is on the gunner of forcing the returner to make a fair catch. And, this is Breida down here, McLeod up top, and they're coming out to get Breida, but Breida's got really good speed, forces it through the double team. Good direction kick. McLeod's right down here. We got guys forcing at the ball running, And, good things happen when you hustle and finish plays.
Now, talk a little bit about, if you will, the reverse spin punt. Those are not the easiest to catch, especially in congestion. When you got a guy in your peripheral, that ball just doesn't just run right into your arms like a regular punt, right?
Yeah, I'm glad. We got a lefty that has a wide variety of kicks, and he puts it where we need to put it. Again, great job by Breida of forcing it. We got guys coming down. We're going to put them, backed up in good field position. Unfortunately, we didn't take advantage of this opportunity that was given to us in the kicking game. But I think it's just a great play, and it's a big-time play by our special teams units on the punt team.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. I'm smarter, and our fans are smarter, and we appreciate you doing this.
I always love it. Appreciate you.
And we have a lot more coming up on the Coach Daboll Show.
Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. On Sunday, the Giants have their home opener as they take on the Carolina Panthers. Now it's time for this week's edition of Head to Head with Paul Dottino and Sean O'Hara.
Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of head-to-head matchups between the Giants and the Panthers this weekend. And Sean, first up, I got to say for the Giants, it's a big one here with Adoree Jackson going against DJ Moore. And when I talked to Adoree earlier in the week, he knew he was going to be in for a tough challenge.
I feel like he's just a great receiver, great after the catch. Can run the short route, the deep route, or anything intermediate. So I think that's what makes him a great receiver.
He's done it now for 3 years in a row with 1,000 yards apiece with different quarterbacks every time. Now he's got Baker. That's the fourth quarterback. That's pretty special for a guy to be able to do that with a changer arm every single year, no?
Yeah, that's just a testament to him putting in the work and everybody buying in, whether it's whoever he had a quarterback, the offensive coordinator, whatever it may be. And like I'm saying, just a testament to him being just a great athlete after he catches the ball, able to make something happen.
Now, Sean, last week the Giants secondary did real well. They didn't give up a pass play to a receiver or a tight end of longer than 27 yards.
Yeah, I think Adoree Jackson, he loves being physical with a lot of receivers. This is going to be a great matchup to watch because this man right here, DJ Moore, he is a very physical receiver. He's strong, and he's so explosive after the catch. So it's kind of like a dual responsibility. Obviously, as a defensive back, you don't want to let him catch the football, but then that's kind of when the play starts. What does he do after the catch? He's Carolina's leading receiver from last year. He's coming off of a 3-catch game, so no doubt he's going to be looking forward to getting the football. But I think for Adoree, this kind of plays into his hand because he likes to play press coverage at the line of scrimmage, and with the pressure that Wink Martindale loves to bring, I think it's going to force the ball out a lot earlier than Baker would like to have the ball come out. So I think that plays into Adoree's favor going up against DJ.
And last year against the Giants, he wound up with 6 catches for 73 yards, a long of only 21. He was contained by both Bradbury on one side and Jackson on the other. Let's go to another head-to-head matchup, Sean. This time we look at Andrew Thomas against Brian Burns. Burns is one of the league's better pass rushers. Andrew Thomas knows that he's going to be in for a very rough day.
Yeah, just an explosive guy. He has pretty good counter moves. He can go inside or outside. Just somebody got to be keyed in on.
How different is the style of front that the Panthers play compared to the style of front that the Titans play?
Yeah, their front is a little bit more penetrating. The linebackers a little bit more flat, fast flow, so we just have to key in on that.
Now, last year when the Giants and Panthers locked up, Andrew Thomas was out with a foot injury. So this will be his first experience to actually go up against Burns.
Yeah, and welcome to the NFL. Every single week as a left tackle, you've got their best pass rusher, their best player. So Andrew Thomas just went up against Bud Dupree last week against Tennessee. Now you get Brian Burns. Brian Burns voted to his very first Pro Bowl last season with 9 sacks. The key with this is just Andrew Thomas looks so comfortable and so confident in his pass set and his punch. And I thought he looked phenomenal all in training camp, and it's parlayed now into the way he's playing on Sunday. So this matchup right here is all about that punch. Burns loves to use his speed off the edge. And now if Andrew Thomas can just trust his kick slide and his punch, he'll be fine. Burns likes to turn that speed into power, and so that's going to be the key right there. And I think being at home, the snap count can be his friend, but Andrew Thomas, I look for him to have a very successful game against Brian Burns because I think these two, when you look at them physically, I think Andrew Thomas actually has the edge. You could see last week, not 1 sack, not 1 quarterback hit allowed against Tennessee, who's got a very good front. So this is a great challenge for the entire Giants offense, but for Andrew Thomas, I'm looking for him to dominate Brian Burns in this matchup.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Sean. Burns did not have a quarterback hit hit against the Browns last week, so he will be chomping at the bit. And the Panthers will try to keep the Giants guessing. They will flop him sometimes to go against Evan Neal, but we do expect Thomas to be the big gun for the Giants' protection scheme. That'll do it for Head-to-Head this week. For Sean O'Hara, I'm Paul Dottino. Get set for the Giants and Panthers. Bob, back to you.
Carl, obviously DJ Moore is explosive, Robbie Anderson's explosive, and then you throw in Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. Panthers have a lot of weapons that the Giants are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with it, and when the Giants play man coverage, they're going to have to play tight man coverage because the ball comes out quick. McCaffrey is quick in the flat. They like slant, so it's a matter of just locking up in man coverage when they get into the matchups.
Last year at MetLife Stadium, the Giants limited Robbie Anderson's big playability, but Sam Darnold was the quarterback, not Baker Mayfield. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, over and under and much more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. Sunday, Giants and Carolina Panthers in MetLife Stadium for the Giants home opener. Now it's time for Over-Under as we welcome in Madeline Burke, Sean O'Hara, and Amani Toomer.
It's game time. We've got a couple days till kickoff of week 2, but I'm talking about some over-under we're about to play here. Sean, Amani, you ready to make some tough decisions here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do a little.
I might just go with the over on all of these. Call me Optimus Prime. I'm still psyched and fired up for week 1.
We're feeling good. We're feeling good here. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you on this one. Over under 125 yards from scrimmage for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on this all day long. And you said scrimmage yards, so this isn't just rushing yards. I think he'll have more than 125 rushing yards alone. So when you think about the fact that he had 194 scrimmage yards against Tennessee last week, and he had 164 yards on the ground on just 18 carries. So Amani, I could see him getting 22 to 25 carries.
I could see him getting that many carries, but when you get that much yards and have that much production, you know the next week the team is going to game plan for you. So I'm going to go with the under, not because of anything that Saquon did, but just because if you're a defensive coordinator, you want to keep your job, you're going to make sure that their best player on offense is not going to be, doing the same thing he did last week.
Saquon Barkley, I'm ready to see the second act right here. We're going to see the over 125 yards from scrimmage. Let's go. Let's get it. All right, Amani, I'll start with you on this one. Over under 1.5 takeaways for the Giants defense.
I'll go over.
Okay.
Because I feel like they're due. I don't think they had the type of game in terms of takeaways that they wanted to last week. Takeaways come in bunches, as we all know. I just think everybody wants to get on this positive energy from the week 1 victory. The defense is going to try to get on with some turnovers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on this one too. And hope the Giants played Tennessee without Azeez Ojulari and without Kayvon Thibodeau. So hopefully those guys can get back and contribute. I think when you look at Baker Mayfield, like he's always primed for a pick. And when Wink was in Baltimore and he was in Cleveland, they played a couple times a season. So I think there's some familiarity there with Wink. And so I think he knows kind of the pressures to bring home that will rattle Baker. And I also think that left tackle, Ike Mekwonu, all right, he gave up a couple sacks against Myles Garrett. So I think that's something that both Wink Martindale and this defensive line are going to try to attack. I
mean, the Giants had 1 takeaway last week. The Panthers gave up 1 turnover last week. I feel like let's up that number a little bit. Let's take the over here. Let's go over 1.5 for takeaways. Clean sweep. All right, we're all in agreement here. Yeah. All right, Amani, over under 3 passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage by the Giants defense.
Oh, I'm going to go over because Baker Mayfield is a guy who's shorter in stature. Throughout his entire career, he's had problems trying to find windows to throw the ball into. He had a couple 3-4 knockdown last week early on, 6. Yeah. That's an issue for Baker Mayfield, and he's going to definitely over.
Yeah, this is the easiest choice of the bunch right now. I'm definitely taking the over. You mentioned 6 last week. I think he has 3 in each half. Vertically challenged, I think, is what we're going to call Baker Mayfield.
More politically correct.
As an offensive lineman, you've got to be aware of that, and you've got to know, if we're running a slant, if we're throwing anything over the middle of the field, it's our job to get our hands down. So I like the over in this one. Baker kind of telegraphs things. Plus, you know what? He's only been with the Carolina Panthers for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So he's still kind of learning some things offensively.
And as you mentioned earlier, Sean, that familiarity Wink Martindale has with him, they know to game plan for that. They know to get those hands up early.
All right, clean sweep again.
Clean sweep again. All right, solidarity. All right, Amani, over under 250 passing yards for Daniel Jones in week 2.
you know what? I'm going to join the party. I'm going to go over because I think Tony's going to get more catches this week. Saquon can get a lot more catches this week. I just think that the passing game has a lot of room for improvement, and I think the success of the running game last week is going to open up the pass game for this week. I'm going over.
All right, I'll go heel on this one. I'll play the heel. I'll go under on this one, and here's why. I don't want Daniel Jones to throw from 150 yards, right? Because that means that we're throwing the ball a lot. We're not running the ball as much. So, look, I'm a former O-lineman. I'm going to stick up for my boys up front. I said it earlier on. I think Saquon Barkley should get 25 carries, all right? He should have 30 touches. But I think Daniel Jones, I'm fine with him. 220, that probably means that Saquon went off, and we didn't need Daniel to rip it at all. So I'll take the under and the W.
You know, we saw Daniel Jones get 188 yards passing last week. 250, I think might, flirt with that, but I'm not quite going over just yet. Let's take the under. Let's get a win, whatever it takes, right?
At the end of the day, that's all.
At the end of the day, we're just hoping to get to 2-0 right here. We've got a lot of ball game left to preview, though, as the show continues. Let's send it back to Bob and Carl in the Fieldhouse.
Carl, Saquon Barkley had a monster game last week against Tennessee. Didn't play in the game last year against the Carolina Panthers. Had 2 touchdown catches in 2018 when the Giants lost that heartbreaker down in Carolina. What's different about Saquon this year?
Well, I think he's running with a different intention, Bob. I mean, he's talented, always been super talented, but more relied on his supernatural skills more so than the intention of setting up everything. And he's running now more intentional, even on, I call them the dirty 2- and 3-yard runs, because if he can get those, then he'll be able to set up the big one.
And he also had a very important blitz pickup in that win against Tennessee. When we come back on the program, Carl Banks goes to the coach's tape with strategy here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Time for strategy with Carl Banks. Giants play the Panthers on Sunday. And Carl, like Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey is a multiple threat. He can run the ball, and he's a threat out of the backfield.
Bob, he is. He can catch, and when he catches it, he can run. But they set it up. There's not always a deliberate pass to him in the flat. If you take a look here at the quarterback relationship, he's going to look here first just to set it up here in the flat. So at the snap, you'll see Baker Mayfield. He pulls up, you see him look to his left, but he's really setting this up right here. And then once he gets it in his hands, it turns into a big play.
Now, Cleveland actually had it diagnosed, but like Saquon Barkley, the athleticism of Christian McCaffrey, he turned a negative play into a positive play.
Yeah, well, look how they're blocking it, Bob. He's got one guy free. He doesn't get him down, and the next guy has been blocked all the way down the field. Now, let's take a look again. They know he gets the ball. The next guy in line is right here. Let's look what happens. You've got a defender coming here to seal him, but what happens, that defender's there before the running back gets the ball, but look where the other defender is when this play develops. He's all the way down the field. He's 15 yards down the field and didn't impact the play at all.
Now, one of the things that the Carolina Panthers have is the ability to make big plays. Former New York Jet Robbie Anderson is a guy that can hit the deep ball, and they get him for a 75-yard score here.
Yeah, again, this is just good play calling. The scheme is to get Robbie Anderson open here, but you'll see some things that'll keep the backside safety here. You just take a look here. He's not being occupied. This is the only guy who can occupy him, but they're going to do some things here and here that will send a guy right up the seam. Your backside safety, if he's not occupied, he's got to get over across the field. Let's just take a look. Safety's looking. This guy's covered. He's too far inside to impact anything in this window. So when the safety sees nothing threatening him deep, he's got to really start to press over to make a play there. He's too late. So what they do, they give you a lot of shallow stuff to run a guy through your defense.
So those are some of the plays that the Panthers with Baker Mayfield can hit you on. Now we're going to go to the other side of the ball, Carl, and take a look at some of the pressure packages that Carolina can impose on an offense.
Take a look right here. The Giants have struggled a little bit at the guard position. They've rotated players on their offensive line. But if you take a look, one individual play here, this is a straight pass rush that gets pressure on the quarterback and flushes him out of the pocket. Nothing special about anything else on this pass rush here other than one guy defeating the guy in front of him. So you've got to be able to get your guy and hold him up to protect the quarterback. If not, then you'll see that happen. So the guard position is very important. And then we'll see it again on this next play. They attack the guard, but it's, again, two things that happen against this Giant offensive line that they've always got to be alert for is some type of twist, right? But here, the twist is going to be between this guy and this guy. And let's just take a look at what happens. The inside linebacker is showing blitz. He backs out. Now watch what happened. He shows, and he comes right back in. So he runs into the hole that he was already threatening the blitz in, but what he does, he lines up in it, right? Once he moves out of it, this lineman thinks, I got a day off here, and I can just help out right here. So what happens when the ball is snapped, that linebacker comes right back through the area where he was standing.
And, Carl, those are some of the things that, until the Giants stop it, teams are going to prey on that.
Absolutely.
All right, that's a look at strategy. It's brought to you by PSE&G, creating safe, reliable energy now and in the future. We're going to take a timeout on the program. When we come back, Above the Numbers with Paul Dottino and Amani Toomer here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop.
Hey, season 2, how about our first guest, right? Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney. I mean, you can't get any bigger than those two guys, right?
Yeah.
That's like Hollywood. And
I think those are fun guys.
Obviously, they're on Hollywood time.
Yeah, they're a little late.
Like,
what time is it?
It's like, we're noonish.
Yeah, they would never survive on TC time.
They would not. They would get fined a lot. Oh,
yeah.
Wait, here we go. Phone ring. Ooh, it says Hollywood. It's gotta be Ryan Reynolds, right?
Florida?
Yeah. Hello?
Eli.
Hey.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Here with Rob McElhenney.
Hey, where are you? We're here.
Where the are you?
What do you mean? We're here. Where are you?
Virgil's, Times Square.
Virgil's. What? Why?
Can you just? What kind of piece of show is this? This wouldn't happen on Kimmel.
They're Virgil's. They said they're at Virgil's. They're Virgil's.
In the city?
Yeah, we gotta go. Let's go. Hurry.
I can't even understand what he's talking about. Cable access, man. Never again. Seriously, never again.
Did your publicist agree to this? I didn't.
No.
I thought it was. I say we leave.
Year 2 of the Eli Manning Show. Let's see what Eli has up his sleeve this year as we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Giants and Carolina Panthers, MetLife Stadium on Sunday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. It's time for Above the Numbers with Paul Dottino and Amani Toomer.
Okay, so let's go above the numbers to see what the Giants need to do against the Carolina Panthers. Now, for me, I'm going to go with wide receiver and punt returner Richie James. Now, why do I do this, Amani? Well, because he provided some double value in the win over Tennessee last weekend. On 5 punt returns, he averaged over 12 yards an opportunity and had returns of 17, 18, and 22 yards to set the offense on their way. He played in 70% of the snaps on offense and had 5 grabs for 59 yards. But I do think that the punt returns were really key to get that offense started on the right foot.
Absolutely. When you have a team that's struggling on offense or has a propensity to struggle on offense over the past couple of years, and you give an extra 10 yards, that's one less first down that you have to have before you get close to scoring and putting your team in scoring position. So punt return is great. He had some very clutch catches, making 3rd and longs into 4th and shorts, where when you're playing that field position battle, he played a big role in that last week. I definitely agree with you. I think he's going to have to play above the numbers this next weekend.
Okay, Amani, who do you have?
I have Tay Crowder. Really stood out last weekend, the way he hit Henry a couple times. Physical at the line of scrimmage, very impressive, hard to block kind of guy downhill in the run game. But as good as he was last weekend in the run game, he's going to have to be equally as good in the pass game. McCaffrey presents an entirely different problem to the downhill running of Henry in space, coverage, to raise his game to the next level. he's going to have to be more well-rounded, not only be able to play in the run game, but also in the pass game.
Well, he had 7 tackles against the Titans last weekend. McCaffrey with only 14 touches opening day against the Browns. You know the Panthers will pump feed him this week. Now, how about we go below the numbers and see who the Giants need to squash? And that would be the Panthers' outstanding defensive back, Jeremy Chin.
He's a Pro Bowl caliber safety. He's been very successful, very productive in terms of tackles over his short career. And he's going to be inevitably one-on-one situations versus Saquon in the open field. Is he going to make, in coverage, not only in coverage, but, a one-on-one tackling? Those are the types of position where, Saquon's going to really have his hands full with this young, talented safety.
So Chin's been in the league for 2 seasons. In each of those years, he's had over 100 tackles. And defensive backs coach Steve Wilks of the Panthers, Amani, calls him the eraser because of how he erases offensive plays on the opposition.
Not this week.
That'll do it for Above the Numbers between the Giants and the Panthers. Bob, back to you.
Carl, one of the cool things about the game against Tennessee was Daniel Jones spread the ball around. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that Richie James would have as many targets as he had? But that doesn't mean that that's going to be standard every week.
No, I think the hallmark of what we see early on with this coaching staff is they'll start to adjust on the fly. When you look at the first game, a lot of things weren't working, right? And so they ran their offense through Saquon Barkley in the second half, and it opened up a lot of different options. They run a lot of personnel, so it's hard to say who's going to be the focal point. I think the open man will be the focal point in the pass game.
Just like the go-ahead touchdown with Chris Myrick and then the 2-point conversion, not a lot of people had that in their pool as the guy that Daniel Jones would go to for the game-winning touchdown pass. When we come back, Coach Daboll will rejoin us to take a look at the Carolina Panthers. You're on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop.
I'm excited to get in front of the fans back at MetLife. They're a great defense. They're super fast. They're very athletic. We look forward to a challenge, and at the end of the day, we got control what we can control and focus on us. We're now on to Carolina, and that's what we're focused on. So it's just one game. We haven't done anything yet, so we're focused on this game coming up.
Sterling is back to the 10, to the 5, touchdown Giants!
We got to get a lot of pressure up the middle and get in front of Baker. He's a little shorter guy, so getting our hands up, affecting him will disrupt the game.
McCaffrey's really good in space. He's a very shifty back. He's also like a screen draw type of running back. He's really effective in the passing game as well.
I just feel like everybody got their juice back, you know what I'm saying? Like people returning from injuries, this and that. I just feel like everybody, we're back on track how we're supposed to be.
Giants getting set for their home opener on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers as we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Bob Papa, Carl Banks, and Giants head coach Brian Daboll. All right, you got the Carolina Panthers coming in on Sunday. This is a team that has weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Let's start with Christian McCaffrey because, like your Saquon Barkley, he's a threat in all phases of the game.
Yeah, you said it. Dynamic with the ball in his hand, can run routes, is a mismatch player. All hands are going to have to be on deck for him. When he touches the ball, he's a threat to take it to the house at any point in time.
Coach, you come off of a victory, and obviously you have to focus on the things you didn't do well because opponents will look at where they think the opportunities are. So you have to make sure that your guys going into this game are cleaning up the obvious mistakes because opponents, that's what they look to strike first, right?
Absolutely. So all week, that's what we've been working on is look, you get ready for the opponent and the things that they do well, but you also have to clean up things that maybe will show up again if you don't get them fixed. As a coach, you kind of take a look at the tape and you repeat some of the things that maybe hurt your opponent. So that's been really important for us.
We got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson on the outside. Anderson had a 75-yard touchdown catch last week against the Browns. Obviously, with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, one thing you have going in your favor is Wink Martindale comes from the same division. He's faced Baker 8 times, and Wink is pretty good at coming up with game plans. Just talk a little bit about, the art of putting game plans together when you're picking people's brains.
Yeah, I think that, the first thing you need to do is, what do you do well on a consistent basis? And then you have to take a look at the opponent, whether it's Moore, whether it's Anderson, Baker, McCaffrey, like you said, and take into account what they do well and try to limit that the best you can. Their offenses are so good nowadays, they're going to hit plays on you, but instead of a 75-yarder, you want it to be a 20-yarder. Instead of a run that breaks out for 25, you want to get them. If you miss the first one, you want to get them at least under 12. So it's a cat and mouse game, even during the week when you're getting ready to play teams. But you got to do what you do best, more importantly than anything else.
Coach, obviously this is the home opener. You're coming off the win last week. You've put a lot of effort into being prideful about the Giants with your team and your messaging. How important is it to sort of establish a home field advantage? Because, for the Giants fans watching, it's been a rough stretch at home over the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's home field advantage is important for a variety of reasons. One, you want to go out there and put your best foot forward in front of your fan base. You owe it to the people in this community that pay their hard-earned money to come to a game and spend time tailgating and come out to a game. You want to put a good product out on the field, and that's important for the people that have played in those uniforms before us. The Bankses, the Taylors, the Sims, the Strahans, the list goes on and on. It's a prideful organization, and it's important for us to play well at home.
Sometimes with young players, is it a little bit harder to try to alleviate some of the pressure as opposed to when you go on the road? It's us against the world. You're in the hotel, you're on the bus, nobody thinks we're going to win. At home, you got 90,000 people expecting you to be great, and maybe for young guys to kind of calm the nerves a little?
Yeah, and there's going to be bad plays that happen at home. So bad plays at home versus bad plays on the road, there's a different reaction. So, the players have to internalize that and make sure they're just playing one play at a time and, give the fans something to cheer about.
Well, Coach, we want to wish you the best of luck on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun in MetLife Stadium. And Giants fans, just a reminder, this week's game is presented by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New York Giants. Football watching is better with Pepsi. So for Carl Banks, Coach Daboll, and our entire crew, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop.